Humanity has been on an epic journey of discovery, learning the truth about the world we live in. New discoveries about the true origins of humanity, ancient history, free energy, as well as the systematic corruption of world governments are now on the forefront of our daily reality. Is the world headed towards destruction based on control and power? Or is an opportunity now being presented to shift and uplift into a higher consciousness? My name is MEL VE, co-founder and creative director of Conscious Consumer Network, an independent broadcast network that was launched on the 1st of January 2015. In the last 3 years, Conscious Consumer Network has broadcast over 2,800 shows in multiple languages, featuring guests from across the world, whilst creating media that is aimed at the creation of a free, fair, peaceful, just, sustainable world. Conscious Consumer Network provides full training and an interactive support network for all broadcasters, and we are always looking for inspiring and educational content.
Hi, this is Lainey Liberty.
And this is Semir Osmanagic.
In 2018, Conscious Consumer Network has expanded to multiple broadcast locations, increasing our availability and reach across the world, remaining on the cutting edge of independent media. If we wish to create a better world, we must first create better media, geared towards real education instead of indoctrination.
You guys really are what changing the world is going to be about. It's educating kids at a grassroots level.
Having become a pillar of stability in the turbulent world of independent media, we have even more going on in 2018. Conscious Consumer Network is a publicly funded network, and we rely on all of you to keep us on the air. Show your support for independent media by donating to our 2018 Network Support Fund. Dare to seek a better world. Support independent media.
Good evening, everybody. My name is MEL VE, coming to you live on Conscious Consumer Network. It is good to be with you this evening, Tuesday, the 27th of February, and it is 7 p.m. GMT, our local time. Tonight is a very special night because we get to have in our company and in our presence a wonderful person who we've had on our network before. In fact, we spoke to Dr. Semir Osmanagic previously, and he joined us for the Untangled Gathering Conference, one of the biggest online webinars that has ever happened. And also he's joined one of our youngest broadcasters, Natalie Marie Hart from Crystal Kids TV, on our network in the past. And of course, endured yourself to our audience. And we obviously have been following on with so much of what's been going on with you, Dr. Sam. So thank you for joining us. I know you're busy. Welcome and good to see you again.
Thanks a lot. Very happy to be with you tonight.
Okay, so for those people who aren't familiar with your work, would you mind just giving us a little bit of your background?
No problem. So my name is Dr. Semir Osmanagic. I'm archaeology, anthropology professor. My PhD is in Mayan pyramids. For last 35 years, I've been investigating pyramids all over the planet. And I realized that everything they've been teaching us about the pyramids is wrong. They are telling us they are built in Egypt and Mexico. However, they are built all over the planet, on all 6 continents. For Egyptians, they say they are built as tombs for pharaohs, but no mummies in Egyptian pyramids. They are much older than the pharaonic age. They go back 12,000 plus years. So obviously in 21st century, we have to change the paradigm of the whole society, and one of the main reasons will be the pyramids. My PhD is in Mayan pyramids. I realized there are not few hundred of them, but more than 100,000 of the pyramids in Guatemala, Honduras, Salvador, Belize, Mexico. And still, Encyclopedia Britannica is talking about the Mayan as the Neolithic tribes. The pyramids in Peru, Bolivia, even the US, Cahokia, 250 pyramids in the state of Illinois, 200 pyramids in China, Indonesia, 29,000 years old pyramid, Cambodia, beautiful Koh-Ker pyramid, on the remote island of Mauritius, 7-step pyramid, Canary Islands, 103, Sudan, 224 Nubian pyramids. Egypt, 155. Pyramids in Europe, 3 Palencia pyramids in Spain, 5 pyramid complexes in Italy, 16 pyramids in Greece, and finally, the biggest and the oldest, the Bosnian pyramids in the town of Visoko, very close to the capital city of Sarajevo. So, for the last 12 years, I've been running the Bosnian Pyramid Project. So after I discovered them back in 2005, this has become the most active archaeological site in the world without the government support, but we established non-profit, non-government organization for archaeological research, and it has become the most exciting archaeological project. It is so much more than archaeology. Not only that we change the history, but we change our presence, and we have a chance to change our future for better. We realized that pyramids are very complex energy machines that can affect almost anything in our life. They can be used as the communication devices. They can be used as the healing devices. They can be used to improve the molecular structure of the water and the food and our auric field, bring back our chakras to balance, affect our spiritual abilities. So it's a revolution in the world of archaeology. Archaeologists, Egyptologists, geologists, historians, museum curators, they cannot understand this. We needed a real scientific methodology. We needed physicists, engineers, sound engineers, electrical, to help us understand how these very complex machines work. So in the last few decades, that's what I've been doing. Pyramids, and in the last 12 years, I've learned so much from hundreds of experts from different fields, realizing that we need really a revolution in thinking. So this is what I do.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sam. That's absolutely fascinating. Being absolutely obsessed myself with lost worlds and ancient civilizations, particularly lost advanced cultures. One of the things that's really fascinated me about the pyramids around the world is something, as you say, they are complex energy machines and absolutely evidence of a highly advanced society. Has the Bosnian pyramid given you any idea as to just how advanced these societies were?
Well, in the case of Bosnia, we have a classical example of very high knowledge of the builders. Number one, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, with its height of more than 270 meters, consists of more than 20 million tons of concrete material. So the whole pyramid has been covered in concrete, ancient concrete. We've analyzed it in 7 institutes for materials. They all told us that it was either geopolymer concrete or synthetic concrete. This is a form of the artificially made concrete. Now today for concrete we use cement as the binder, and the ancients used clay, melted clay as a binder. And their concrete is much better than what we can make today. It's much harder, 2 or even 3 times, and water absorption is less than what we have. So it is superior. So when you see how they could manipulate with the huge quantities of material, yes, they had to be very advanced. Now, they knew that the shape of the pyramid is the most powerful geometrical shape when it comes to the energy. What the pyramids do, they amplify natural energy sources. In the case of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, below there is an iron plate or iron ore. Why iron? Because iron generates electromagnetic field. What the pyramid does, it amplifies this electromagnetism. The second form of the energy. 21 meters below the pyramid we have underground water stream. Water moves, it releases negative ions. Pyramids amplify negative ion concentration. The form number 3. 55 meters below the pyramid, another underground water stream. Between 2 water streams, electricity is being generated. Pyramid amplifies this electricity, this electrical field. Number 4, magnetic field. Number 5, ultrasound. How do we have ultrasound? Well, we have electromagnetic field. We have a lot of quartz crystal on the pyramid, below the pyramid, in the pyramid tunnels. When electromagnetism hit quartz crystal, we have a process called piezoelectrical effect, which generates mechanical waves or sound or ultrasound. The next energy form is the orgone energy or life energy or chi energy or prana energy. We have instruments to measure the percentage of orgone energy. It's a scale from 0 to 100. For example, contaminated cities, 25 to 30%. Villages, 60, 65%. Pyramids in Bosnia, 100%. So now we can see that the ancients were smart. They were not making up, the frequencies like we do today, 220 volts, for our electricity, or for our mobile phones or Wi-Fi, up to 5 gigawatts. These are all very bad frequencies, by the way. The ancients were amplifying existing frequencies, so frequency would remain the same, just they would amplify the strength. So they were getting very powerful and very healing frequencies. So we can see that they knew energy. And for every civilization, it doesn't matter on which planet, it's always fight for the energy. You need energy to get born, to live, to satisfy your needs, to prolong your life, and so on. So the next thing, the sacred geometry. They knew if you apply the elements of sacred geometry, again, you amplify the energy. For example, the Great Pyramid of Egypt, the length at the base, 231 meters, two lengths, 462, divided by height, 147. The result is 3.14. The number pi, the most powerful number, which is, by the way, irrational number, does not have end. Then, in the same pyramid, we have number phi, or golden ratio, 1.618. When you have elements of sacred geometry, they also amplify the energy. In the case of Bosnian pyramids, 3 major pyramids, the sun, moon, and dragon, when we connect their tops, the distance between tops, 2.2 kilometers. From sun to the moon, 2.2. From moon to the dragon, 2.2. From dragon back to the sun, 2.2 kilometers. So we are getting perfect equilateral triangle. Equilateral triangle is a perfect geometrical shape, and as such, part of the sacred geometry. You have sacred geometry, you have amplification of the energy. So the ancients were so smart, so they were applying those elements of sacred geometry, and they were getting the machines that would last forever. Why I'm saying that? Well, let's see the age of the Bosnian pyramids. They are covered by soil and vegetation. Institute for Pedology from Bosnia analyzed the soil. The soil is between 12 and 15,000 years old, meaning the structure below is much older. And then between the concrete blocks, between the concrete layers, we've discovered fossilized leaves. Now, leaves are, of course, organic material. How did they get there? Well, when the builders, they were laying the first row of concrete, the second row, the third row, the wind was blowing, bringing those leaves, and then finally they placed the final row of concrete. But those leaves below that final row will give us exact date of construction. Why? Because they are organic material and they can be dated. So we've done radiocarbon dating in Kiev, the age 29,200 years, plus minus 400 years. So we go back in the past for 30,000 years. So finally, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is not only the biggest, the largest pyramid on the planet, but the oldest energy machine that has been working continuously for 30,000 years as the oldest and probably the first perpetual motion machine on the planet.
Wow, that's incredible. So you obviously had a whole bunch of people in there doing various measurements. Do you want to talk us through some of the numbers?
Yes, gladly. So 12 years ago, we established a non-profit foundation for archaeological research, scientific research, cultural heritage protection. Right now we have about 35 people on the payroll, diggers, archaeologists, geologists, tourist guides, guards, webmasters, and so on. During the summer, hundreds of volunteers from all over the world join us. The major archaeological project, for example, Egyptian pyramids, they are classified projects. Everything is strictly confidential. The same thing with the pyramids in China, Mexico, or Peru. Not in our case. We are the most open archaeological project in the world. Every summer, June, July, August, September, we open our project for volunteers from all over the world. In the last 8 years only, we have had more than 3,000 volunteers from 62 countries and 6 continents, working with us, helping us, uncovering the oldest concrete blocks on the planet, clearing underground tunnels below the pyramid complex. With their help, we are finding artifacts, we are finding organic materials, we are doing a lot of measurements because among those people there are medical doctors, there are archaeologists, there are forensic experts. They are helping us getting the big picture of what we have there. There are people, who are very sensitive, people from spiritual community, and all of that is really helping us understanding how advanced the original builders were. What we've realized, for example, is that on the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, there is an electromagnetic field which is 4.5 meters in radius. It doesn't go left or right, but it goes up as the energy beam. That was back in 2010. In the meantime, we've done more measurement. Like last year, we sent drone above the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, and then when we checked electrical field and magnetic field, actually magnetic field was zero. Electrical field was very active. They teach us there is only electromagnetism, but in this case, magnetic field was absent. Only we had was electrical field, which was go like this, 4.5 meters up, then it would expand to 5, 10, 20 meters, then it would get narrow, then it would expand, getting narrow again, and so on. And for experts in physics, there was no doubt. These were the scalar waves, or torsion fields, or Tesla's waves. So what we have, we call it Tesla's scalar waves going through the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Why they are so important? Because scalar waves are much quicker than the speed of light, according to the Russian theoretical physicists. What does that mean? It means that the hypothesis from Albert Einstein that the speed of light is the biggest speed in the universe is actually not valid anymore longer. So we will need to change our physics and our astronomy thanks to the discovery we have in Bosnia. Well, when it comes to the speed of light, 300,000 kilometers per second, it's a big speed, really, but big speed for our planet. If we send the light to the sun, it takes 7.5 minutes. If we send it to the northern star, 700 years. We send it to the center of our galaxy, Milky Way, 40,000 years. And finally, we send it to the place in the center of our universe where the old guy in the white robe is sitting, creating galaxies with the long white bird. It takes 5 billion years. So, from the universal standpoint of view, the speed of light is actually very slow. We need something much quicker. And the scalar waves have a speed 100 billion times bigger than the speed of light. So basically, the information, the energy moves immediately from one end of the galaxy to another one. And interesting thing was the scalar waves, where are they directed to? We were checking at the noon time on the top of the pyramid. They were oriented mostly to the south. In the afternoon, southwest. which matches the movement of the sun. Because our sun in the morning east, noontime south, afternoon southwest, evening west, right? So it seems that the pyramid in a way communicates with our sun. Is it possible that the pyramid actually uses the sun as a cosmic gate and through the sun to communicate with other solar systems and other galaxies, and that way we got the base for the cosmic internet. So the first potential purpose of pyramid, inter-solar communication. So they are very powerful communication devices. And then it would really make sense that you use millions and millions of tons in Giza, in Egypt, in Bosnia, in China, in Peru, in Mexico to make such a powerful energy machines. But the ancients were much smarter than us. They were making actually the multi-purpose machines. What would be the second purpose of the pyramids? Namely, we have noticed that the last few years, people who go to the Bosnian pyramid tunnels, and it's a huge network, it runs for kilometers and kilometers. Of course, we do have tunnels under Giza pyramids in Egypt, under, Cheops, Khafre, and Mycerinus, but it is hundreds of meters. We do have tunnels under Mexican pyramids in Teotihuacan, in Palenque. We do have under Xi'an pyramid in China. But in Bosnia, it's the most extensive prehistorical underground tunnel network. It runs for tens and tens of kilometers. Namely, we have noticed that people, when they get inside the tunnels, deeper they go, they breathe better and better. We are checking the oxygen level, always 21%, ideal. They get out, if they have problem with the asthma, when they get out, they breathe so normally, they don't need air pumps no more. People get inside with the high blood pressure, they get out, gets normalized. We measure the sugar in the blood. We take blood before and after coming from the tunnels, from let's say level 10 or 15 diabetes, they come back 5.7, normal level. So we've been analyzing what's happening. In the tunnels, we measure the pyramid energies, the best electromagnetic field, the best ultrasound frequency of 28 kilohertz, very low frequency 7.83 hertz, which is the original Schumann resonance, which brings us back to the balance. Very high concentration of negative ions. Negative ions clear the atmosphere from dust. They raise the level of oxygen in our body. They kill viruses, bacteria. So they are very good. More negative ions, better for us. In your office, in my office, low concentration of negative ions, 100 per cubic centimeter. We go downtown, 400. Villages, 800. By the rivers, 1500. On the top of the mountains in the forest, 4,000. In the Bosnian pyramid tunnels, 40,000 to several hundreds thousands. It's bigger than, closer to Niagara Falls. So somebody was building underground healing facility. So that's the second potential purpose of pyramid energy, self-healing. And this is not all. What is number 3? What is the most important liquid in our life? It is water. Well, the water that we drink today, it doesn't matter if it is bottled water or it is water in our kitchens, the city water, energetically very low. Chlorine, fluorides, traces of heavy metals, actually energetically dead. This is what we drink. But the water in the Bosnian pyramid tunnels, and we found it in several tunnels, has been exposed to the pyramid energy, vibrates very high, healing water. We sent sample to late Dr. Masaru Emoto 4 or 5 years back. We got results back. The water forms beautiful hexagonal molecular structure. Why hexagonal? Because it's a perfect geometrical shape. Hexagonal, it's like 6 pyramids. So, pyramid energy we can use to improve the molecular structure of the water. Number 4, food. We are what we eat. Well, obviously what we eat is not so good. That's why we are the way we are. Well, you put seeds to pyramid, you plant it, it grows 3 times quicker, richer, healthier than, regular seeds. So, to improve the food. Number 5, Professor Konstantin Korotkov from University of St. Petersburg invented an instrument to measure human aura, auric field, bioenergy field around our body. Not only that, we can measure the stress level, we can measure the energy in the cells. And last year, 2017, we had more than 1,000 measurements, people entering the Bosnian pyramid tunnels before and after. But this is really very significant, sample. More than 95%, they had improved aura, they had less stress, they had much bigger energy in the body cells, meaning the energy of the pyramids affect our energy field, reducing the stress level, bringing our chakras to balance, opening up the chakras so the energy can flow much better. So now we see that the pyramid energy affects not only our physical body because of self-healing, but also our mental body and our spiritual body. So that's the reason I said that pyramid energy can really affect almost anything. It simply improves the molecular structure, whether it be human, our energy field, water, objects, food, animal, plants, anything. So this is really becoming the most exciting project in the field of science.
That's amazing. And obviously this is thrown right in the face of mainstream anthropologists who believe that the agricultural revolution began 13,000 years ago and civilized man began along with that. Because this is, what would a culture like this look like, capable of building such a amazingly big structure?
Well, the question is, if it was built by the civilization who had its evolution for hundreds or thousands of years, or was it an episode on this planet? And really, my research of the pyramids all over the planet has shown me that there was not evolution in a pyramid science. As a matter of fact, the oldest pyramids are the biggest and the most superior. Of course, it does contradict what they teach us in school about the evolutionary process, but this is the fact. You go to China, to central province of Shanxi, 250 pyramids, 20 biggest are the oldest one, more than 12,000 years old, built from sandstone block and granite, and 230 smaller ones built starting 2,300 years before present until 1,000 before present from the mud bricks, inferior material. They are smaller, they are inferior. We don't have evolution. Actually, it's the opposite process. You go to Egypt, the same thing. Even the mainstream science admits that the oldest pyramids, Giza pyramids, Cheops, Khafre, Mykerinos, Meidum pyramids, the Red pyramids, the Bent pyramid, the El Lahun pyramids, the Saqqara pyramids, they are the oldest, but they are the biggest, built from the limestone blocks, huge blocks, and even bigger blocks of granite from Aswan. So somebody brought blocks from 900 kilometers from the south all the way to the Giza or Meidum Plateau. 220 tons is the biggest block in the second largest pyramid, Khafre. And later on, the pharaohs of the 12th, 18th, 19th, 20th dynasty, they are building much smaller building, stepped in design from the mud bricks. And mud bricks, this inferior material, is a construction material even today in Egypt. So there is no evolution. The oldest pyramids in Palenque, for example, the biggest one, still covered by soil, vegetation. They don't want to uncover it because it's going to prove them wrong. It's the biggest and the most superior. Teotihuacan, Mexico, the oldest pyramid, the Sun Pyramid. Actually, the first one was built over 12,000 years ago above, the big cave system, which they enlarged over 12,000 years back. And the Bosnian pyramids, over 30,000 years. The pyramid Gunung Padang in Western Java, Indonesia, over 30,000 years old, from the huge volcanic stone blocks. So now we see that there was no evolution. So Of course, what they teach us in school is, like you said, we had a period when people went from the nomadic style of living, food gathering, hunters, to agricultural society. Well, for some, especially for the scientists from Britain and Germany, they were saying, well, it happened 5, 6, 7,000 years back in Sumerian societies. Now, because of Göbekli Tepe in eastern Turkey, they need to move that to 11, 12,000 years. But regardless, if the pyramids are tens of thousands of years ago, how to explain that? Well, we know that in the last 100,000 years, there are huge global catastrophes. The last one happened 12,000 years ago. It's also known as a huge flood, biblical flood. But before that, there was another one, 18,000 years ago. Before that one, there was another one, 30,000 years ago. Another one, 55 and 75,000 years back. Every time when this global catastrophe would hit humanity, more than 99% of humans were wiped off from the face of the planet. Less than 1% that would survive, and they would come to the surface from underground tunnels or natural caves from top of the mountains. They had to start from the beginning because their societies were destroyed. Why they were destroyed? Well, take an example 12,000 years back. At that time, the level of Pacific Ocean rose for 80 meters. The level of Atlantic Ocean, 120 meters. The tsunamis at that time were reaching 2,000 meters. The one that hit Indonesia back in December of 2004, and we remember that. That one was 25 meters high, killing 220,000 people. 25 meters high. Now imagine 2,000 meters. The civilizations were destroyed. The earthquakes were on unimaginable scale, volcanic eruptions. And of course, humanity, at least those who survived, they had to start from the beginning because the knowledge has been lost. So that's what happened last time with the Neolithic times. You had a Neolithic man who was really primitive. He had to start from the beginning. So instead of evolution, we have cycle after cycle after cycle. Now, the question is, but that's what you asked, is it possible that, let's say, 30,000 years ago, there was such a highly developed civilization, human civilization? Well, I would say, as a scientist, I have to stay open for any option until we have hard proof to disprove one hypothesis or prove another one. So, when we ask the question, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Namely, look what happened in the last 150 years. We simply went from the Middle Age to the Cosmic Age. So, in some periods, it's possible that humanity can develop very, very quick. So, if you go back 30 or 50,000 years back, it's possible that people had access to knowledge. And we know now that the knowledge can be even in those energy fields around us. People are talking about Akasha, Akashic records. So if they had access to that spiritual knowledge about the transportation, about sacred geometry, about using energy and so on, it is possible that they were building pyramids. Now, the second option, is it possible that somebody from the outside of this planet was helping them? Of course, it is possible. To believe that we are the only form of intelligent life in the universe is really funny. And if we are saying that God created us, on his picture and his look, well, I would say that he did a lousy job with us. I mean, if he couldn't do anything better than us. So I would say there are many, many forms of intelligent lives throughout the universe. Invisible or invisible realms, different dimensions, different levels. So I would say, yeah, it is possible that somebody was helping us. Number three, is it possible that somebody from some other dimensions, which is still around us, was instructing us through our dreams? So it is possible. Is it possible that there is civilization in our inner earth, if we believe that our earth is hollow? That's also a possibility. So I would say we should stay open for different options. But the proofs of more advanced civilizations, or at least more advanced way of thinking, they are all around us in those pyramids.
Incredible. I wanted to ask you to talk a little bit about the concrete composites that you found. I've recently been fortunate enough to be exposed to a set of ruins which is found on a local farmer's farm where I am here in the Algarve. And it looked very much what we're looking at with the Bosnian pyramids. It was so far down, it looked pre-diluvian, so pre-flood, and it wasn't natural stone. The way it had been laid onto the ground clearly gave the idea that this was some kind of set concrete. When you lift the stones up, it had undulations underneath it. It wasn't flat like you would normally find cut stone. I'm just amazed that we actually spoke to archaeologists about this, and they were like, no, of course, there's no concrete back then. These people have no clue. And if they can't date it, then it's Roman. It must be Roman, because the Romans, to most archaeologists, that's as advanced as we've become. Back then, as the Romans were the ones who kind of brought us to where we are. Let's talk a little bit more about the concrete and what the composite that you found, and what that kind of looks like, what the structure of that is like.
Well, you are right. Mainstream archaeologists usually use ancient Roman concrete as the reference when it goes back to the history. And really, the ancient Romans, 2,000, 2,200, 2,400 years back, they did have rather advanced form of the construction, building, concrete, cement. They knew about the cement. But the problem with them is when they see something it's obviously much, much older, they don't think about that sample and the real truth. They think about the consequences. So like they said, well, back then they did not have it, so we won't even analyze it because it's impossible. That is not a scientific way. Scientists are there to go after the truth. When I sent some of my samples to one of the universities in the US, to a professor who was dealing with the geopolymer concrete and who got criticized because he was approving Dr. Davidovic's theory about ancient concrete in Egypt, which was like a blasphemy. Well, when I sent him concrete, first he was very excited. He said, yeah, this is concrete. But then when he found some organic materials in the concrete, which took him back 54,000 years back, he said, it's impossible, it is not concrete because there was no civilization. Wait a minute. Did somebody put it together in artificial way? Yes. Well, so it is a concrete. Well, concrete for us today is, you take rocks, sand, water, cement. What the ancients did in Bosnia, rocks, sand, water, and instead of cement as a binder, they used melted clay. So today we have some natural and some artificial materials. The ancients were always using natural materials, but they were putting it together, and obviously they were changing molecular structure. In order to have melted clay, today we would need a high temperature, high pressure. What did the ancients do? Did they use the same high temperature, or did they have some other way to change the molecular structure? Hard to say. I would say yes, it was another option. But we can see the results. You come to the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, where we have uncovered thousands of tons of this best quality concrete. It's obviously that somebody was pouring that concrete or, somehow, mixing all these materials. Where did they find such huge quantities of rocks, of sand, and pebbles? Just below the ground. They were making those tunnels below the pyramids. And the tunnels were made in the material called conglomerate. And river conglomerate consists exactly of pebbles, rocks, and sand. So they built tunnels, they built kilometers and kilometers. They had to remove hundreds of thousands of tons of material, construction material, which they later used to mix with the clay and get the concrete blocks. Very simple and very practical. Why I'm saying very practical? Because they had all the material within a radius of a couple of kilometers. And in Egypt, like I said, they had to go down 900 kilometers to get granite in Aswan. and then move it all the way to the northern Egypt.
Wow. Okay, so since we last spoke to you in 2015, there have been a number of new developments. I mean, after we spoke to you, there were these images of these massive sphere boulder type things being found. Let's talk a bit about your discoveries.
The stone balls are another very exciting phenomenon which we can find everywhere on the planet. 1940s, 1950s, first they were discovered in southern Costa Rica, near the town of Palmar Sur. The United Fruit Company from the US was clearing parts of the jungle in order to plant the banana trees. It was popular then, 80 years back. And 5 meters below the ground, they were discovering, spherical stones, the stone balls. They analyzed, it's granodiorite. It's part of the, type of the granite. Granite never comes spherical in the nature, so somebody shaped it. It's extremely hard. Today, in order to shape granite, we need diamond tools. In order to get perfect spherical shape, you need some type of the laser cutting, and in order to maneuver 5 to 25 tons, some of those stone spheres are reaching 25 tons, you need 1 or 2 cranes or forklift. You need to maneuver this material. Now, they are saying that the local tribes use those stone balls as the territorial marker. Well, for the marker, you would need 1 or 2 balls. 400 balls have been discovered. And when I checked the jungle, I went there 2 times, they cleared less than 1% of the jungle, meaning that there are probably thousands, if not hundreds of thousands more of those stone balls. So who made it? When? The problem with the archaeologists, of course, it's very deep under the ground. So it's thousands and thousands of years older than any known society there. And by the way, in Costa Rica, the Mayan civilizations, they were never there. They were, as south as, El Salvador. Then Western Mexico, stone balls reaching 30 tons. We had them on Easter Island from volcanic stone, New Zealand, Russia, Algeria, Turkey, Northern Albania, Croatia, Serbia, and in Bosnia, our foundation have discovered them on 20 different locations from 4 different materials. We had them from granite and sandstone and the limestone and volcanic stones, perfectly, spherical. And 2 years back, we discovered the largest on the planet. Since our last talk, we've done so many analyses, a huge content of iron, energetically very active and potent, and the mass of the stone ball, which we discovered near the town of Zavidovići in central Bosnia, is 37 tons. 37 tons. Well, of course, geologists are at odds. They don't know what to say. Previously they were saying, well, for the smaller stone balls, well, it's the product of the wind and the river flow. Hey, wind and the river cannot make perfectly spherical, stone balls. And if they do, where are 99% of those who are still irregular and who are still in the process to become perfectly spherical? Their problem is the consequences, because the age, hundreds of thousands of years. Sometimes they are discovered at depth of 25 meters when people are digging to make the tunnels on the freeways or whatever. So these are the traces of unknown civilizations, and instead of closing our eyes, we need to be true scientists. We need to ask questions and try to get at least some answers.
So what do you think the balls are? You've got to have some kind of theory.
It has to be, again, related to the energy. We know that the 3 most powerful geometrical shapes are shape of the 4-sided pyramid, conical shape, and spherical shape. So 4-sided pyramid, that's the reason why we have tens of thousands of pyramids around the planet. Energy amplifiers. Conical shape. How many hundreds of the tumuli, the tumulus phenomena, we have from southern England and France and Czech Republic and Slovakia and Bulgaria and Macedonia and Greece and Bosnia. So if we call the big pyramids, the big power plants, the tumulus can be called mid-sized power plant, and we are coming to the stone balls. When you have concentration of the stone balls above energy potent place, they can also amplify the energy. You come close to them, you're getting the energy, your immunity goes up, your working and living environment is healthier, the water becomes healing water, and so on. The ancients had different concepts in their head. They simply were thinking differently than we do. And by the way, the hardest part is to try to give the purpose when you see something which is of unknown origin by unknown civilization. But yes, we need to sometimes to speculate. We need to see. We need to be creative. And even if we are wrong, we are at least trying to get some answers.
Just one more question before I let you go, Dr. Sam. Are you still having problems with your discoveries, or the government's pretty much just leaving you alone to get on with it?
Well, after 12 years, I would say that we got our space, out there. In the beginning, it was tough because, you are starting as a non-profit NGO, archaeological field. It was unheard of before. Everybody was attacking us, archaeologists, geologists, museums, universities, ministries of culture. But we've been persistent. We believe in what we do. We have noble goals in front of us. And we were finding our ways. We are like the water. Water comes in front of the wall, but then we are finding our cracks. Well, right now we do have our permissions. We, from time to time, visit, the government, regional government, municipality, federal government officials to come and see what we do. And we are telling them about the benefits, like this town of Visoko. 15 years ago, they had zero tourists, zero. Last year, 50,000. We have 100 facility on booking.com, hotels, motels, hostels, apartments, pensions, weekend houses, So people started living, out of this project. They see benefits. So these are the things that we show to the government. Hey, it is beneficial for the local community, for the country. You need to support that. Pyramids, you can believe, you don't believe, it doesn't matter. We have research that's going on. We are using scientific methodology. We have all the permissions in place. So we keep moving. But it doesn't mean that if we get more arguments that we're going to have more support from the officials. As a matter of fact, in the beginning, we had people from cultural establishment against us. And they're very powerful. They have National Geographic, they have Wikipedia, they control a lot of other things. But now, with the pyramids as the energy machines, generating clean and free energy, eventually energy lobby won't like that. Coal, oil, gas. And then with the self-healing process, the pharmaceutical industry will not like that. And then with this energy being part of the cosmic internet and the communication between the suns and the planets, NASA and intelligent services won't like that. But then the life is one interesting game, so let's play this game.
Right. Wow. Your research is absolutely fascinating, and I'm still dying to get out there and come and see it all for myself. So hopefully you'll be around to give us a tour when we do finally make it out there, because this is an absolutely fascinating discovery. And I just want to say to anybody who is watching and who has followed my research and my work, we have touched briefly on the Bosnian pyramids because it is, for me, one of the greatest discoveries ever, the oldest and largest pyramid ever to have been discovered, with amazing energetic qualities about it that if we start to apply how this could affect our lives in our ignorant state, it's kind of mind-blowing if we think of the technology that's available, but not really.
And if I may suggest, good time to come, June 2018. Of course, our summer solstice, here are the biggest festivities that we have. Besides archaeology and science and energy and healing aspect, spiritual aspect, we have our 7-day festival going on with spiritual music. Last year, 600-700 people from 35 countries. The volunteers were there also. Researchers, beautiful atmosphere, open-minded people. So, bosnianpyramid.org, information how to volunteer, how to come, how to become part of this, or how to simply learn about it. Go there, see, come, and you will love it.
Lovely. On that note, I think we'll finish it off. Dr. Sam, thank you ever so much. It's an honor and a privilege to have your time, and I hope to speak to you again. If not, we might see you in person in June.
There you go. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. It's been great as always. We'll be back. My name's been MEL VE. Take care. We'll see you again.
Humanity has been on an epic journey of discovery, learning the truth about the world we live in. New discoveries about the true origins of humanity, ancient history, free energy, as well as the systematic corruption of world governments are now on the forefront of our daily reality. Is the world headed towards destruction based on control and power? Or is an opportunity now being presented to shift and uplift into a higher consciousness? My name is MEL VE, co-founder and creative director of Conscious Consumer Network, an independent broadcast network that was launched on the 1st of January 2015. In the last 3 years, Conscious Consumer Network has broadcast over 2,800 shows in multiple languages, featuring guests from across the world, whilst creating media that is aimed at the creation of a free, fair, peaceful, just, sustainable world. Conscious Consumer Network provides full training and an interactive support network for all broadcasters, and we are always looking for inspiring and educational content.
Hi, this is Lady Liberty.
And this is Semir Osmanagic.
In 2018, Conscious Consumer Network has expanded to multiple broadcast locations, increasing our availability and reach across the world, remaining on the cutting edge of independent media. If we wish to create a better world, we must first create better media, geared towards real education instead of indoctrination.
You guys really are what changing the world is going to be about. It's educating kids at a grassroots level.
Having become a pillar of stability in the turbulent world of independent media, we have even more going on in 2018. Conscious Consumer Network is a publicly funded network, and we rely on all of you to keep us on the air. Show your support for independent media by donating to our 2018 Network Support Fund. Dare to seek a better world. Support independent media.